Lieutenant Jack Murphy stood at the observation deck, his eyes fixed on the strange object floating just beyond Earth's orbit. It wasn't a satellite or space debris. The metallic sphere pulsed with an inner light that no human technology could produce. Command: this is Murphy. I'm sending visual confirmation now. Definitely extraterrestrial. Within hours, the United Nations Space Command mobilized its top scientists and military personnel. They established a secure facility in Geneva, where they managed to decode the signal patterns emanating from the probe. After 3 days of continuous work, they achieved the impossible: communication with an alien civilization. The message was simple: greetings, Earth species. The Galactic Council acknowledges your technological advancement to near space travel. Representatives will arrive to assess your civilization's readiness for contact. Prepare your leaders. Admiral Diane Foster, the highest-ranking UNSC officer, organized Earth's reception committee. Military leaders from all major nations gathered alongside scientists and diplomats. They waited nervously at the newly constructed landing zone outside Geneva. "Do you think they come in peace?" asked Dr. Peterson, a quantum physicist who had helped decode the initial message. "They could have attacked without warning if they wanted to," replied Admiral Foster. "The fact they're talking suggests they'd want something else. Stay alert but diplomatic." The alien ship descended through the clouds on a Tuesday morning. It made no sound as it settled on the landing pad. Unlike the sleek spaceships of human science fiction, this vessel looked organic, with flowing curves and a surface that seemed to ripple like water. 2 beings emerged. The taller one had bluish skin with patterns that shifted like clouds. 4 arms extended from its torso, and its eyes, 3 of them, blinked independently of each other. "I am Zarthol of the Arcadian Union, senior representative of the Galactic Council," it said in perfect English. "We have studied your broadcasts for decades." The second alien was shorter, with gray leathery skin and a ridge of spines along its back. "Krelvox of the Navorian Dominion," it introduced itself, second chair of the Council's Expansion Committee. After formal introductions, the aliens requested a tour of human military facilities. Admiral Foster was hesitant but received authorization from the Security Council to proceed with a limited demonstration. At the North American Defense Command, human officers proudly displayed their most advanced fighter jets, missile systems, and battlefield equipment. The aliens observed with what seemed like amusement. "You still use chemical propellants for your weapons?" asked Krelvox, examining an M4 rifle. "Fascinating. Most species abandon such primitive technology once they discover basic particle physics. Our projectile weapons have served us well," Admiral Foster said stiffly. Zarthol picked up a bullet with its long fingers. "How quaint. You accelerate tiny metal pieces using controlled explosions. We haven't seen such methods in thousands of years." The aliens then showed holographic images of their own weapons, sleek devices that fired beams of concentrated energy, shields that could absorb massive impacts, and vessels that could travel faster than light. "The Council finds your species interesting, despite your technological limitations," said Zarthol. "We extend an invitation for Earth to join as a protectorate species. We will guide your development and protect you from the dangers of the galaxy." "Protectorate?" Foster asked. "What would that entail exactly?" "Simply put, you would benefit from our advanced technology and protection," Krelvox explained. "In exchange, the Council would establish oversight of your military development and resource management." Foster maintained her diplomatic composure, though her jaw tightened. "That's a generous offer. Our world leaders will need to discuss this proposal carefully." As the aliens returned to their ship, promising to return in 3 days for Earth's answer, Foster watched them with narrowed eyes. "They laughed at our weapons," she said quietly to her aide. "I don't trust anyone who underestimates a potential opponent. What do you think they really want, Admiral?" Foster's gaze remained fixed on the departing ship. "I don't know yet, but nobody travels across galaxies just to help strangers. We need to know more about this council before we make any decisions. In orbit above them, 12 more alien ships decloaked, their presence previously hidden from Earth's sensors. The aliens requested a more detailed examination of human military technology the following day. The UNSC arranged a demonstration at a secure testing facility in Nevada, where Dr. Alan Hayes led the council representatives through a series of weapon displays. "This is our standard infantry rifle," Dr. Hayes explained, lifting an M27. It fires 5.56 millimeters rounds at approximately 900 meters per second. Krulvox took the weapon, turning it over in his clawed hands. "Fascinating primitive design. You actually use controlled chemical explosions to propel metal fragments." "We call them bullets," Hayes replied, trying to mask his annoyance. "And yes, ballistic weapons have been effective for centuries on Earth." Zarthol's 3 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture the humans had learned indicated amusement. Most species abandon physical projectiles once they discover basic energy manipulation, inefficient and limited by physical constraints. Dr. Hayes loaded the rifle and fired a demonstration round at a target. "Our primitive weapons have advantages. They work underwater, in vacuum, and aren't affected by electromagnetic interference." The council scientists scanned the bullet impact with their devices, exchanging glances that needed no translation. They weren't impressed. "Perhaps you'd like to see how real weapons function," Krulvox suggested, retrieving the sleek pistol-like device from his belt. He aimed at a concrete block and pressed a button. A beam of purple light struck the target, instantly vaporizing it. "Concentrated plasma, contained within a magnetic field," the alien explained. "No recoil, no projectile to dodge, and adjustable output from stun to disintegrate." The human observers remained silent, their faces carefully neutral despite their concern. The technological gap was even wider than they had feared. The demonstration continued with increasingly advanced alien weaponry. The council representatives showed holographic displays of their defensive systems, shields that could absorb direct hits from asteroids, armor that adapted to any attack, and automated drones that could neutralize threats before they were detected. "Your kinetic weapons would be useless against even our most basic shield technology," Zarthol explained. "The energy is simply absorbed and redirected." Admiral Foster, who had been silently observing, finally spoke. "And yet you've developed these impressive defenses. That suggests someone out there poses a threat worth defending against." Krulvox's spines flattened slightly. "The galaxy is not always peaceful. Some species refuse council guidance and must be managed." After the aliens left to inspect other facilities, human military leadership gathered in a secure underground room swept for surveillance devices. "They're practically laughing at us," General Rodriguez said, slamming his fist on the table. "Acting like we're children playing with sticks and stones." "Maybe that's good," suggested Kate Wilson, chief intelligence analyst. "They're underestimating us." Admiral Foster nodded slowly. "I've been researching their protectorate offer. The terms look suspiciously one-sided. They get oversight of our resources, while we get protection from unnamed threats." "Should we show them our advanced prototypes?" asked Hayes. "The Gauss cannons, the orbital platforms." "No," Foster said firmly. "Not yet. I want to know more about these Nevorians. Their body language changes whenever we discuss the protectorate status. They're hiding something." Dr. Hayes frowned. "What about their weapons? That plasma technology is centuries beyond ours." "Yes and no," said Foster. "Their energy weapons are impressive, but did you notice? All their defensive systems are calibrated for energy attacks. They focus on absorbing or deflecting various frequencies and radiation types." "Because that's what everyone in the galaxy uses," Hayes realized. "If no one uses physical projectiles anymore, then maybe they've forgotten how to defend against them," Foster finished. "Sometimes the oldest solutions are effective precisely because they're unexpected." As night fell over the facility, Foster authorized a secret communication to all Earth military commands. "Prepare contingency plan, Minutemen, and await further instructions." Meanwhile, the alien ships in orbit continued scanning Earth's surface, cataloging resources and defenses. They still hadn't stopped laughing at human guns. Intelligence Officer Kate Wilson worked through the night, analyzing every piece of data from the alien delegation. Something about the council representatives didn't add up. Their technical information shared freely, but historical and political details remained vague. Computer, cross-reference all mentions of protectorate species from the council database they provided, she commanded. The secure terminal hummed as it processed her request. Files appeared on her screen, information the aliens probably hadn't intended to include. Admiral Foster needs to see this immediately, Wilson whispered. 3 hours later, in the underground command center beneath Geneva, Wilson presented her findings to Earth's military leadership. The Galactic Council isn't what it appears to be, she began, displaying images of 3 different alien worlds. These planets were all designated as protectorates within the last 50 Earth years. According to these resource allocation charts, each world now functions primarily as mining operations. She swiped to the next screen, showing alien beings working in what looked like industrial facilities. The native populations provide labor. Their militaries were disbanded, their governments replaced with council advisors, mostly Navorian. General Harris leaned forward. You're saying these protectorates are essentially colonies? Worse, Wilson replied. They're carefully managed resource extraction operations. The council, particularly the Navorians, has been doing this for centuries. They find developing worlds, offer protection, then gradually take control. Admiral Foster studied the data, and they only target worlds with valuable resources and limited military capability. Exactly, Wilson nodded. According to their own records, they specifically seek out civilizations that have achieved space travel but haven't developed energy weapons. Precisely where Earth stands now. Captain Sam Rodriguez, commander of Earth's small space fleet, stood up. I have a proposal, Admiral. Go ahead, Captain. We accept their invitation to join the Council, but we prepare our own welcome for them. Rodriguez pulled up schematics of Earth's 5 orbital defense platforms. These stations are officially listed as research facilities, but they can be quickly converted to their true purpose. Foster nodded slowly. They've scanned our weapons and found nothing that concerns them. That's exactly how we want it to remain, until we choose otherwise. The next day, Earth's United Nations formally accepted the Galactic Council's invitation. The ceremony would take place on the Council's massive space station, currently positioned near Jupiter. Earth would send a small delegation aboard 3 of its newest spacecraft. While preparations for the ceremony continued publicly, a different kind of preparation took place in secret. Military bases around the world implemented Minuteman protocols. Orbital platforms underwent maintenance. Earth's 5 spacecraft, officially designated as diplomatic vessels, received special modifications in their hull compartments. Dr. Hayes oversaw the loading of specialized ammunition into hidden compartments. The outer casings are made of materials that will mask them from standard scans, he explained to Admiral Foster. As far as their sensors are concerned, these are just structural components. And the weapons themselves? Foster asked. Electromagnetically accelerated mass drivers, railguns, essentially. No chemical propellants to detect. The power systems are shielded and will remain dormant until activated. Captain Rodriguez joined them, reviewing the final preparations for his ship. My crew understands this may be a one-way mission, Admiral. If we're wrong about their intentions, we'll stand down. But if we're right, Foster said grimly, humanity needs to make a statement the entire galaxy will understand. As Earth's delegation prepared for departure, Krelvox and Zarfol reported to their superiors. The Navorian commander's face filled their communication screen. The humans have accepted our terms, Krelvox reported. Their planet is rich in rare elements and water. Minimal resistance is expected. Excellent, the commander replied. The usual protocol then. Once their leaders are aboard our station, The occupation fleet will move into position. Another successful expansion for the Dominion. Neither the aliens nor the humans realized they were each setting a trap for the other. Earth's 3 spacecraft approached the massive Council station orbiting Jupiter. Each vessel carried diplomats, scientists, and, unknown to the aliens, specially trained military personnel. Captain Sam Rodriguez commanded the lead ship, the UNS Defiance, with Ambassador Laura Mitchell beside him on the bridge. Quite the welcome party, Rodriguez noted, eyeing the 12 Navorian warships arranged in what appeared to be an honor formation. Ambassador Mitchell smiled tightly. Indeed, very generous of them to provide such a thorough escort. The comm system activated with Czar Hull's voice. Earth vessels, proceed to Docking Bay 7. The Council awaits your delegation. As they approached, Rodriguez noticed the Navorian ships subtly repositioning. To an untrained eye, it might have seemed random, but he recognized a containment pattern when he saw one. The alien vessels were boxing them in. Ambassador, he said quietly, I believe our intelligence was correct. Mitchell nodded almost imperceptibly. Continue as planned, Captain. Let's see this through. The Earth ships docked at the massive station. The human delegation was escorted to a grand chamber where representatives from 17 alien species sat in tiered seating. At the center stood Krelvox and a larger Navorian with elaborate armor. Welcome, humans, the larger Navorian announced. I am High Commander Dravkor of the Navorian Dominion. Today marks your species' fortunate inclusion in our galactic community. The ceremony began with speeches and formal introductions. Earth's ambassadors were presented to each council species. During this time, Rodriguez and his security team noted the increasing presence of armed Navorians throughout the chamber. Ambassador Mitchell stepped forward to deliver Earth's acceptance speech. As she reached the podium, High Commander Dravkor raised his hand, interrupting her. Before formalities continue, there is a small matter to address, he said. As is standard with all new protectorates, we must ensure proper management of transition. Navorian peacekeeping forces are currently moving into position around your world. The chamber's main view screen activated, showing dozens of warships emerging from jump points near Earth's orbit. What is the meaning of this? Mitchell demanded. This was not part of our agreement. Krelvox stepped forward. The agreement was precisely what it needed to be. Your species will be properly managed, your resources efficiently utilized, and your population assigned productive roles. The human delegation erupted in protest. Security guards moved closer to the exits. Dravkor's voice cut through the noise. Resistance is unnecessary and inadvisable. Your primitive weapons cannot affect our ships. Our shields render them useless. Colonel Ben Harper, disguised as Mitchell's aide, touched his communication device. A single word was transmitted to Earth. Minutemen. Thousands of miles away, Admiral Foster received the signal. Execute Minuteman protocol. All platforms activate. Target only military vessels. On the view screen, the humans watched as Earth's 5 orbital platforms suddenly changed configuration. Panels sliding away to reveal massive rail gun batteries. The platforms fired simultaneously, launching specialized projectiles at the Navorian fleet. In the council chamber, Dravkor laughed. Your projectile weapons cannot penetrate our energy shields. This display is. His words died as the screen showed the first impacts. The depleted uranium rounds, traveling at near relativistic speeds, tore through the Navorian shields as if they weren't there. 3 warships erupted in explosions. Impossible, Krelvox gasped. Rodriguez stepped forward. Energy shields stop energy. They aren't designed to stop mass. Around Jupiter, the Earth ships suddenly powered up hidden systems. Hull panels retracted, revealing weapon ports. The UNS Defiance fired first, its magnetically accelerated rounds punching through the nearest Navorian ship. In the chamber, chaos erupted. Council members fled while Navorian guards raised weapons. This station has defenses, Dravkor snarled. You cannot escape. Ambassador Mitchell smiled coldly. Who said anything about escaping? Colonel Harper, if you please. Harper touched his communication device again. All ships, execute Alpha Strike. Outside, the true battle had only just begun. The view screen in the council chamber displayed the unfolding battle in shocking clarity. Earth's ships, previously thought harmless, unleashed devastating volleys of kinetic projectiles. The rounds pierced through Navorian shields, as if they were tissue paper, leaving gaping holes in alien hulls. How is this possible? Zarful gasped, his 3 eyes wide with disbelief. Their weapons are primitive. Colonel Harper stood tall beside Ambassador Mitchell. Primitive doesn't mean ineffective. Your shields are calibrated to stop energy weapons, lasers, plasma, particle beams. But they do almost nothing against physical mass moving at extreme velocities. Outside, the second wave of Earth's attack commenced. Specialized EMP rounds detonated near the Navorian command ships, sending cascading failures through their electronic systems. Ships that had been firing moments before drifted powerless in space. Our rail guns accelerate tungsten and depleted uranium rods to 20 kilometers per second, Harper explained calmly as more explosions lit up the view screen. At that speed, it's not just an impact, it's a kinetic energy transfer that nothing short of solid matter can stop. High Commander Dravkor slammed his fist on the council table, cracking its surface. You tricked us. You hid your true capabilities. Just as you hid your true intentions, Ambassador Mitchell replied. Did you think we wouldn't investigate what happened to your other protectorates? In Earth orbit, Admiral Foster directed the battle from her command center. The orbital platforms systematically targeted Navorian vessels, attempting to form attack formations. Each platform fired 6-foot tungsten rods that struck with the force of small nuclear weapons, yet produced no radiation, just devastating kinetic impact. Platforms 3 and 4, target the ships attempting to jump out, Foster commanded. Don't let them escape to bring reinforcements. Back at the council station, the other alien representatives watched in stunned silence as the supposedly superior Navorian fleet was decimated by primitive human weapons. Several council members began whispering urgently among themselves. One representative, a being with translucent skin and flowing tentacles, approached Ambassador Mitchell. The Aquilians have long suffered under Navorian dominance, it said quietly. Perhaps it is time for new leadership in the council. Captain Rodriguez's voice came through Harper's communicator. Colonel, we've neutralized all Navorian ships at Jupiter. Earth reports similar success. The station is now isolated. Harper nodded and addressed Dravkor. Your invasion fleet has been disabled. You have 2 options. Surrender the station, or we continue our demonstration. You wouldn't dare attack a council station. Krelvox sputtered. There are 17 species represented here. Actually, interjected the Aquilian representative, many of us would welcome a change in management. Other council members murmured in agreement. Dravkor looked around, realizing the balance of power had shifted dramatically. His warriors still outnumbered the humans on the station, but without their fleet, they were cut off. This isn't over, he growled. The Dominion has resources beyond your imagination. Perhaps, Ambassador Mitchell replied. But they'll need to reconsider their approach to Earth. Colonel, show them our final surprise. Harper activated a small projector that displayed Earth's home system. Hundreds of previously hidden defense satellites winked into existence on the display. We have enough firepower to destroy any invasion fleet, Harper explained. We just wanted to see your true intentions before revealing our hand. Zarful stepped forward, placing himself between the humans and Dravkor. As an Arcadian representative, I propose an immediate council vote to suspend Navorian authority, pending investigation of their actions toward protectorate worlds. The council chamber erupted in voices, most supporting the motion. The Navorians found themselves suddenly isolated. On the view screen, the remains of their once proud fleet drifted lifeless in space, a stark reminder that sometimes the oldest weapons were the most effective, precisely because they had been forgotten. and no one was laughing at human guns anymore. The emergency council session lasted for hours. Navorian guards were disarmed and confined to quarters while representatives from all 17 species debated the future of galactic governance. Dr. Alan Hayes, brought to the station as a technical advisor, found himself explaining human weaponry to a group of fascinated alien scientists. "The principle is remarkably simple," Hayes said, displaying diagrams of Earth's rail gun technology. 2 conductive rails, a power source, and a conductive projectile. The electromagnetic force accelerates the mast to incredible speeds. A Tellurian scientist with 6 eyes examined the schematics. "But surely energy weapons are more advanced. We abandoned physical projectiles millennia ago." Hayes smiled. "Advanced doesn't always mean better. Physics still applies regardless of technological development. Mass times acceleration equals force. When that mass hits a ship at near relativistic speeds, no energy shield can stop the transfer of kinetic energy." In the main chamber, Ambassador Mitchell and Colonel Harper negotiated with the council leadership. The Arcadians, led by Zarthol, had emerged as the strongest voice opposing Navorian dominance. "For too long, we accepted Navorian claims that their protection was necessary," Zarthol admitted. "Many of us suspected their treatment of protectorate worlds was harsh, but we lacked the means to challenge them." "You lack the weapons," Harper corrected. "From what we've seen, Navorian technology shaped galactic development toward energy weapons and corresponding defenses." A reptilian council member nodded. "They shared only certain technologies with the rest of us. Energy-based systems that their shields could counter if needed." Mitchell leaned forward, "which gave them a backdoor advantage in any conflict. Until you humans arrived with your primitive kinetic weapons," Zarthol said. "You cannot imagine how it felt watching their ships we believed invincible, torn apart by simple metal projectiles." In a secured room elsewhere on the station, Captain Rodriguez communicated with Admiral Foster. Their conversation was encrypted, but the subject was clear from Rodriguez's expression. The balance of power had shifted dramatically, and Earth needed to capitalize on this advantage. High Commander Dravkor, now under guard, requested a meeting with the human leaders. With council permission, Mitchell and Harper agreed to hear him out. "You've made a powerful enemy today," Dravkor said without preamble. "The Dominion controls over 60 star systems. This defeat is temporary." Harper studied the alien commander. "Is it a defeat or an opportunity to change your approach? The Council is already voting to investigate your treatment of protectorate worlds." "Those worlds belong to us," Dravkor snarled. "We found them. We developed them." "You exploited them," Mitchell interrupted. "And now you've been exposed. But war benefits no one. Earth doesn't want to destroy the Navorians, just their ability to dominate others." Dr. Hayes joined them, bringing visual data from the battle. He displayed the footage for Dravkor. "Your shift shields were designed to disperse energy across their surface," Hayes explained. "But physical objects carry momentum that must be absorbed. At the velocities our weapons achieve, the kinetic energy transfer is beyond what your hull materials can withstand." Dravkor stared at the images, seeing his fleet's destruction from a scientific perspective for the first time. "All our research for centuries focused on energy manipulation. We never considered that someone would bring bullets to a laser fight," Harper suggested with a slight smile. Back in the council chamber, the vote concluded. The Navorian Dominion was suspended from council leadership. Protectorate worlds would be granted independence and reparations. A new defensive alliance would be formed, with Earth invited as a founding member. Zarthol approached Mitchell as the session ended. "Your world has changed everything in a single day. Many species will seek your weapon technology now." "We'll consider sharing it," Mitchell replied. "But first, we want to learn more about this galaxy we've joined, preferably without conquest being the first option." As the Earth delegation prepared to return home, Dr. Hayes packed his demonstration materials. A small group of alien scientists watched him with new respect. "I still don't understand," one said. How did a species we considered technologically inferior defeat our most advanced defenses? Hayes looked up, his expression thoughtful. Sometimes the most dangerous adversary isn't the one with the fanciest technology. It's the one who remembers the basics that everyone else has forgotten. 6 months after the battle at Jupiter, Earth's position in the galaxy had transformed. The newly reformed Galactic Council headquarters now orbited Earth's moon, a symbolic placement reflecting humanity's central role in the new order. Admiral Diane Foster stood at the observation deck of the station, watching ships from 12 different species arrive for the inaugural Defense Summit. Behind her, Ambassador Mitchell reviewed final details with her staff. "I never thought I'd see the day when aliens would travel across the galaxy to learn about gunpowder," Foster said with a hint of amusement. Mitchell joined her at the window. "Not just gunpowder. They're fascinated by all our primitive technology. Dr. Hayes can barely keep up with requests for weapons development partnerships." On the training deck below, Colonel Harper supervised as human instructors taught representatives from allied species how to use modified firearms. The weapons had been adapted for various alien physiologies, but the principles remained the same. "Remember, the recoil works against your body," Harper explained to a 6-armed Arcadian soldier struggling with a rifle. "Lean into it, don't fight against it." Zarthol, now serving as the Council's first chair, entered the observation deck and bowed slightly to the humans. "Admiral, Ambassador, the Tellurian delegation has arrived with news from the former Navorian territories." Foster nodded. "Let's hear it." "The liberation of the 7th Protectorate world is complete," Zarthol reported. "Their people are already implementing the self-governance model your United Nations helped develop." "And the Navorians?" Mitchell asked. "Contained within their home system as agreed. Our monitoring stations detect no attempts to rebuild their fleet. The defeat was psychologically significant for their culture." Foster turned from the window. "Good, but we shouldn't get complacent. History shows that defeated empires rarely stay defeated forever." In a laboratory section of the station, Dr. Hayes worked alongside scientists from 5 species. They surrounded a table displaying a new hybrid weapon system. "We've combined your kinetic principles with Arcadian energy focusing," explained a Tellurian engineer. "The result is a railgun that fires plasma-wrapped projectiles. The plasma disrupts shields while the physical round delivers the impact." Hayes nodded appreciatively. "This kind of cooperation is exactly what we hoped for, each species bringing their strengths to the table." In the council chamber itself, Captain Rodriguez, now Admiral Rodriguez, addressed representatives from 22 worlds. The chamber had been redesigned, replacing the hierarchical tiers with a circular arrangement where all members sat as equals. "Earth doesn't seek to replace one dominant power with another," Rodriguez emphasized. "The new Defense Pact ensures technology sharing and mutual protection. We've all seen what happens when one species controls access to vital innovations." Later that evening, Foster and Mitchell hosted a smaller gathering for key allies. The mood was celebratory but focused. "Sometimes I can't believe how quickly everything changed," said an Aquilian representative, their translucent skin glowing softly. 6 standard cycles ago, we feared the Navorians would eventually consume all our worlds. And now they study human history texts to understand where they went wrong," added Zarthol. Foster smiled. "They should pay particular attention to Earth's 20th century. We learned the hard way that technological superiority doesn't guarantee victory. Determination and adaptation matter more." Mitchell raised her glass. "To new beginnings and old lessons." As the gathering continued, Harper received an urgent message. He excused himself and joined Foster in a private room. "Admiral, our long-range scouts have detected unusual activity beyond the Cygnus Arm. Unknown ships with technology unlike anything in Council records." Foster studied the data. "New players entering the game. Possibly. Or perhaps they've been watching all along, waiting to see who would emerge dominant." Foster's expression remained calm, but her eyes narrowed slightly. "Well, if they're watching, They've seen what happens to those who underestimate humanity. Begin contingency planning, but keep it quiet for now. Let's enjoy this peace while it lasts. As she rejoined the celebration, Foster glanced out at the stars. The galaxy had laughed at human weapons once. That laughter had stopped forever. Whatever came next would find Earth ready, not just with guns, but with allies who now understood their value. In the Council archives, a new saying had already entered multiple alien languages. Beware the species that masters death with simple tools, for they understand the fundamentals that others have forgotten.